Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Empress Marvella, better known as Josie. I'm here today to basically give you guys a quick video and an informational about melt and pour soap. Recently, I've been seeing a lot of soap vendors, soap makers, bath and body product workers, makers, whatever you want to call them, suppliers. They've been trying to pass off melt and pour soap as natural soap and vegan soap and handmade soap. Granted, yes, you are making it by hand, you are cutting things, you're making stuff, but that's not what it is. Same thing as vendors saying they have lye-free soap. There's no such thing as lye-free soap. In order to get soap, you need the chemical reaction of lye. Like, it's just inevitable. You cannot make soap without lye, which is also known as sodium hydroxide. Yes, the thing that they put in perm. Yes, the thing that they use to clean drains. You're mixing it with oils. By the time it touches your skin, it's safe enough to touch your skin. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother topic of conversation that we're going to get into at some point. But right now, I really just want to talk about melt and pour soap, what that is. And I'm just tired of seeing people saying that they're making soap that is lye-free and it's vegan and it's natural and it's just, no, that's just not what it is. Actually, melt and pour soap actually has more ingredients, more chemicals in it than actual cold processed soap, which is what I make. I also do make melt and pour soap, but that's like once in a blue moon I'll do it. Once again, melt and pour soap is actually something fun and safe to use. If you're a person that you're not wanting to work with lye, because some people are scared of using lye, that is what I work with, then you're more than welcome to use that. You're more than welcome to use melt and pour soap. It's something safe to do with kids. If you want to do that with kids, that's also great as well. But there's just no such thing as lye-free soap. It's just inevitable. So we're going to get into the concept of melt and pour. I'm going to show you different melt and pour soaps, and then we'll just do that. So first and foremost, this is actually how melt and pour soap comes. It may come in a bigger box, whatever you want to call it, but this is the typical size for it. This will run you about $9.99. You can get it in any hobby store such as Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Amazon has it. There's a few other websites that sell it as well. And there's different ones. There's olive oil melt and pour soap. There's honey melt and pour soap. There's the white melt and pour soap. There's the cocoa butter, shea butter. They have the clear glycerin. There's so many different types. I actually use both. This is the clear soap. This I actually got in Hobby Lobby. Once again, they're $9.99 for this small thing. Can't go wrong. 2 of these will give you a full loaf. Like, you can get a full loaf, like 10 bars from this. The transparent one, the clear one, is actually good if you want to do like little swirls in there. It's hard to make swirls with melt and pour. The other thing that I know is when you want to do layer soap, yes, it's fun to do layer soap with these, but then the problem is that they separate once you start to use them. The other issue with melt and pour soap is they sweat a lot. So if you're in a warmer climate area and you cut these soap up and, you know, once they're done sitting, because it takes them about 5 to 10 minutes to start to like set, and about 40 minutes to maybe 2 hours, depending on what it is that you're making and how hot did you heat it up, for it to sit and set, and you'll be able to cut it. Now, like I said, once you're in a warmer climate, they are going to sweat. So once you're done making what you're making, if you can't put it somewhere that is cool and dry, you might as well just go ahead and wrap them up. They can't sit out because you're gonna get a whole bunch of water on them. Moving forward now, I actually want to show the label so I can show you that this isn't lye-free soap. Like, there's no such thing. I've heard people say, yeah, I make lye-free soap. And when I ask, okay, well, what are your steps? What are your process? Oh, the soap that I buy in the store, I buy it in the store and you just cut it up and you put it in the microwave and you melt it down and you do what you want with it. It's soap. It's soap. It does not have lye. It has lye. Okay, so once again, like I said, label, very important. When you're looking at the label of a product, I often tell people if water is not the first ingredient on your soap or any of your products, then you might as well just put it back on the shelf. Put it back on the shelf because it makes no sense. So for this actually has a whole bunch of, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 ingredients before you actually hit water. So water is actually the 5th ingredient on here. Then, lo and behold, sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide, which if you go on Google and you look up what sodium hydroxide is, baby, that is lye. Then you have glycerin, which provides moisture. I make cold processed soap. I don't put glycerin in my soap because my soap naturally does that already. It creates its own glycerin, so there's no need for me to put any extra additives in there. But once again, this has additives in there. This has preservatives. It has to have preservatives because it's in a package. In order to prevent mold and mildew and bacteria and all that stuff, they have to put something in there to make it shelf stable. There's just no way. So once again, this goes back to vendors saying that they do not have any preservatives in their soap. If you're using melt and pour soap, baby, you got preservatives. So there's that. Titanium dioxide. When you see that, my soap actually does have titanium dioxide, and all that is a colorant. So if you want your soap to be white, you have to use titanium dioxide. If you're using oils like olive oil and shea butter, once again, these are tinted oils, so it's going to give your soap, it's going to give it a color. So you put the titanium dioxide in there to basically give you a lighter color soap bar. That's all that is. It's just a colorant. It's nothing that's harmful for your skin. It's fine. Once again, this has cocoa seed butter and just a whole bunch of other stuff. So like I said, if you have kids and you want to do a fun activity with the children, this is actually great for that. All you do is you just cut it up, literally cut it up into squares. You put it in a glass container or a plastic container, whatever, and you mix it. You can use a spatula, and you can melt it down at like 30-second intervals. And you can add what you want to it. What I find sometimes is certain oils does not mix well with melt and pour soap, and that's fragrance oils or regular oils. They don't mix well with them sometimes. Sometimes you'll mix it, and then when it sits there, you notice that the oils will float to the top. So melt and pour soap is kind of iffy. Once again, like I said, is if you're comfortable with working with this and you're just now starting out making soap, this is what I recommend to start with first before you go into cold process soap and hot process soap. But all the instructions are here. It tells you what to do. It's not that hard. Like I said, it's fairly easy. Once again, this is the clear soap. This also has sodium hydroxide in it. It's just, and this one actually has water as the first ingredient. So once again, it has glycerin. It has sodium chloride, citric acid. It has aloe vera extract, sulfate. So this one, I actually prefer to work with this one than I do with the other one. The other thing is melt and pour soap, I noticed, has a plasticky smell to it. I don't know why, but to me it smells like plastic. So they do give you the option of buying detergent free, and it has no smell to it. It has no odor to it, which is the other one that I have. Once again, those you can find on Amazon or in any regular Hobby Lobby store. I know some people ask me, how can you tell the difference between cold process soap and melt and pour soap as a customer? There really isn't a way to tell the difference unless you know what you're looking for. I could look at soap and tell you straight up that that's not cold process soap. I could tell you that that was melt and pour soap. A lot of these vendors that sell a lot of these yoni bars, I sell yoni bars. I actually make them myself. They're not being purchased off of someone. A lot of those are melt and pour soaps. A lot of these vendors that are just now starting out making soap are making melt and pour soap and selling them off as they're natural. They're not natural. It's not natural. You're buying something, you're melting it down. It's not natural. You're not creating the ingredients yourself. You're not the one that's in control of what's in it for the most part. That's why I pride my business based off of we make everything from scratch. Any of my melt and pour soaps, I do not put any labels as they're natural. I don't put vegan. I don't use any of that verbiage on my melt and pour soap because that's not what it is. I try to be as transparent as possible with my products so people know what they are putting on their skin. Once again, certain things are not for everybody. So it's bound to, if you're using something that's natural, depending on where that business got their essential oils from, or depending on what was in that soap, you are bound to have some kind of reaction to certain things, especially if you're not accustomed to using these things. Like if you're used to using synthetic things, then obviously there is a great possibility that you may buy a soap and it might just cause a skin reaction. It's not much so necessarily the business gave you a poor product. It's just you might be allergic to a certain essential oil and you didn't even realize it until you started using that. So it's always best to do a skin patch test. I definitely recommend that. I definitely recommending being transparent with the person that you purchased the items from as well. That's very important. I like when people tell me, listen, hey, I used this and, you know, I loved it. And my question is, okay, well, how long did you try it for? Is it your first time using this? Have you ever tried this before? Did you look at the label and see it said it had apricot oil in there, or, you know, whatever. And then, you know, I very rarely get that. I hardly get that. I think in the entire 5 years I've been making soap, I probably had 2 people that has a reaction to something. And I think it was a certain type of essential oil that was in there that their body just did not like. But that's, for me, that's pretty good. But like I said, make sure you're paying attention to the labels. I can't stress that enough. Pay attention to who you're buying products from, because sometimes, but cheap is not always the right way. It's not. You're going to buy something that's cheap and you're getting poor product. So I always tell people, if you're going to invest in your business, invest in yourself, invest good. Don't invest and say, oh, I'm not going to get that oil from so and so and such because it's $15 per pound. I'm just going to get the $2.99 one. And the next thing you know, you're using stuff that's mixed with all kinds of crap in there. It's so terrible. That's a whole nother topic of conversation. But that's the concept of melt and pour soap. Like I said, if you have kids, if you just want to make your own soap, you're starting out, that is the way to go. When I started out, I started with melt and pour soap first so I can get the hang of everything. And then I went on to making cold process soap, which I will definitely do a whole video on that. But that's all I got for you guys. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell down there. And don't forget to visit us at www.marvellascreations.com. Peace and love, Marvella gang.